it's the old bear from the old bear's den of Bigfoot, and this is my view this morning, just here in Alabama. I wanted to bring you the account that I have that has paranormal back in it and also Bigfoot. A paranormal group contacted me and was telling me what had happened down in South Carolina. They evidently went to one of these old plantations down in South Carolina. And when they were in South Carolina, they were doing a paranormal investigation in this old house, old plantation house. Well, they carried everything in and got everything hooked up and got everything started and didn't have any interactions and paranormal wise, physical wise, whatever, until about midnight. One of the investigators that they invited to come with them brought a Ouija board. Never good to have a Ouija board involved in anything, at least in my opinion. Anyways, they started playing with the Ouija board and it started giving them answers to questions they were asking. And all of them kind of jumped back when the Ouija board, the planchette or whatever it is, moved on its own. Everybody took their hands off from it and it moved to the middle of the board by itself. So they started having paranormal goings on. Problem was, as soon as that started, they had heard earlier something walking in the woods. And when the paranormal stuff started, it started screaming. And it was a loud scream, low-pitched, but was enough to hurt their ears inside of the house. And the woods are probably, from what I understand, probably about 80 or 90 yards from the house on the right side of the house, and there's woods in back. Now, this house has no windows in it. They tried to restore the house at one time. Stuff started happening, and the contractor walked away. And when all this stuff was going on, after the scream outside, they started hearing stuff running around on the sides of the house. Now, evidently, there was more than one Bigfoot out there, and they didn't like the idea of them playing with a Ouija board. So they started pounding on the walls, trying to get them to get out of the house, do something to get them away from that Ouija board. And they all kind of ran towards the front door and we'll go outside. And another Bigfoot screamed from the front, and one screamed in the back, and they just kind of scattered throughout the house. And it's a two-story house, but there isn't many rooms upstairs, and these things were beating on the walls. Well, the long story short is everything went to heck in a handbasket pretty quick. So, wasn't a good deal. Finally, the guy that drove the van ran outside onto the porch, and something started beating on the driver's side of the box van that they brought all their equipment in. Not a good situation. This stops him cold, and the other ones start filtering out, and he's like, we gotta close that Ouija board off. We gotta shut it off. These things are throwing a fit. Whatever's going on is throwing a fit. It's beating on the van. And they go back in and they do the little ritual to shut the Ouija board down and shut off whatever portal they opened. And these things, they hear them running around to the back of the house. And when they shut the Ouija board down, and they took the Ouija board and grabbed what equipment they could and ran outside. When they got outside, these things come running from behind the house, and the guy in the truck van jumped into the van, and the others threw stuff in the back of it, and he said, just pile in, let's go. Well, when they got on the road, they left their car sitting there, and when they got on the road, one of these things stepped out in the middle of the road, and the headlights were on, and they could clearly see that it was a large 7 to 8 foot tall, 3.5, 4 foot across the shoulders, covered with hair, auburn and black mixed together in the hair collar. The face looked semi-human, but they're not sure, because they were so scared at this point, and he started blaring the horn, and the thing took one step from the middle of the road to the edge of the road, and he drove past it, and it just looked down at him with an angry face, and they took off. They ran to the local detachment for deputy sheriffs, and when they got there, they started all telling them what happened, things going on. And at that point, one deputy went out there, and within minutes of him arriving, he's on the radio screaming he needs help. He's being attacked. The police that were in the area, and there's a local town that's 10 miles away, everybody shows up. There's 4 or 5 more cars that show up, and these things run off. And every one of the deputies, the 2 deputies saw them, a state trooper and 2 local cops, saw what was Bigfoot. They said they saw 4 of them in total. So all this goes on, the cop cars beat all the heck, windshields beat out of it, everything's going on, and now they have the problem of the state covering up. They had to go in. The state removed their cars, or the federal government, whoever they called, came in and towed their cars out to the end of the road and said, you can pick them up here, and you can get all your camera equipment that you left behind, all your wires. But when they got there, they checked the camera equipment. There was no SD cards or nothing of that. Cars were fine. Cars were gone through. Everything was tagged. They were told that they're never allowed to come back there, and that if they did, they would have a world of hurt coming down on top of them. And the guy called me and was describing to me everything that went on. And if you need to know more detail, you can ask me in the comments. Leave a comment, thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thank you a lot. And there's more to this story, and it might be a part 2 to this. So we'll let you know. I hope you enjoy it. Y'all have a blessed day, and the old bear's out of here. Bye-bye.